Hi and welcome to another narration presented by yours truly, Cryptid's Roost. Be sure to check out the blooper reel at the end of the video, which is then followed by the end screen, where you will find more videos listed. So grab your coffee, sit back and enjoy the show. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not. Did anybody else grow up hearing about the Blue Elves when they were kids? Part 2, the finale. This awesome series is written by Corpse Child. Corpse Child now has 2 books available, Damned Whispers and The Other Side. They are both available both as a Kindle ebook and also in paperback, except Other Side. That one is also available in hardback. Be sure to check them out. The Amazon links to both books will also be listed below in the description. Psychotoxin Press is a newly fledged horror publishing house where Corpse Child is both the co-founder as well as in-house author and artist. They have just released their very first quarterly magazine, Eidetic Quarterly, Part 1. Be sure to check it out. Link is below. Back at the binder. They were an assortment of letters, both handwritten and printed from email, of back and forth conversations between Pop and various other people. Each one of the printed ones were labelled as Blue Elf Encounter, with some of the handwritten ones coming with a photograph clipped to them. The photos were of course blurry as all hell, and no offence, some of the people writing these letters, both by hand and electronically, were not the most literate, with the many glaring spelling and grammatical errors that were on full display. Well, I'll leave you alone now. I love you, son, even if I am a jackass to you sometimes. I love you more than anything in this world. I love you too, Pop. The two of us locked eyes again for a moment before he gave me a half-hearted smile and left the room. After that, I spent I don't know how long just staring at the binder. I picked it up and began flipping through it. For the most part, they were all just email accounts of supposed Blue Elf encounters, like I mentioned before. Some of them briefer than others, comprising mainly of one-off events that, at least in my opinion, could easily be written off as either a hoax or something else entirely. What interested me though was a small series of letters that had these crude sketches of what they believed the creatures looked like, as well as what looked to be a fragment from a journal or something. The email detailed this encounter with the creatures, in which they managed to drive them away, but not before losing his daughter to them. Obviously, the bulk of the documents collected in the binder were from this person, and I could see why. I won't go into all the details of the guy's story. It's about as long and twice as soul-rending, honestly, as the stories the old man had told me. But I will say that the journal fragments were probably the most disturbing part. From the sloppy way they were written, and from what they each said, I could tell they were from the daughter's diary. The first one read, "Dear Diary, Daddy took me to see the lights today. They were really pretty. They were all kinds of pretty colours. Some of them were silly though, like the blue and red ones. It was a Christmas party and they were just red and blue lights. What a weird colour. Anyway, these lights also had these weird little people in them. They are like little elves, but they are blue. How weird. Elves aren't supposed to be blue, but they were so cute. So I was gonna go over and say hi to them, but Daddy stopped me. He was scared and got mad at me for wandering off like that. I told them I wanted to go say hi to the elves, but he didn't listen. He made us leave after that. I really wanted to stay. I want to see the lights again, especially the red and blue ones. Dear Diary, I can see the lights again. They are flashing in my window. They look so pretty. I want to go out and see them, but Daddy says I have to stay in my room. He says I have to think about what I did. I want to see the lights and the little people. Dear Diary, I see the little people in my window. They are flashing their lights at me and waving at me to come with them. The lights are so pretty. They keep waving their hands and smiling for me to run away with them. I can't though. Daddy would be upset if I ran away. I don't want Daddy to be upset. But gosh, it's so pretty. Dear Diary, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with the little people. I'm gonna tell them that I can only play for a little while, then I have to be back home. Daddy won't ever know I'm gone, and I can play in the lights. I'm so excited. They are so pretty. After this, there was a newspaper clipping with the headline, "Little Girl Reported Missing." Along with this was a small collection of photos of the girl. One of them, of course, taken from the back of a milk carton with her name, birthday and last known location. Beyond this was another newspaper headline, this one with the headline, "Missing Girl Found Mauled Outside of Surrounding Woodland." It was dated only a day or two after the initial report of her disappearance. No suspects were ever apprehended either. No evidence of foul play, despite the gruesome state of her body, ruling it in the end as an animal attack, likely from a coyote, which seemed likely given that they were native to that area. The rest of the binder was just notes here and there Pop took of the different types of elves or other mythical creatures, none of which seemed to match the characteristics of the blue elves. You know, I have to say that, looking back, it is the textbook definition of jinxed what happened next. Realising I wasn't really gaining any traction with figuring out or understanding what the blue elves were, I was about to close the binder when I started to notice that there was something flashing from outside my window. I looked up to my bedroom window to see a blaze of rapid red and blue rays blinking, enough so to light up half my room. I raised my eyebrow at first. The lights were the same ones I'd always seen before, but this time, after a moment, I noticed there were no sounds accompanying it like before. Just the cops, I told myself, nothing to be afraid. Then I saw them, tiny little shadows dancing around against the flashes. I went stiff on my bed. I wanted to get a closer look, but something told me not to. The flashes blinked steadily, yet brighter and brighter with each sound. The shadows moved closer and closer to the window. My body, out of reflex, started inching back farther and farther from the window, still staying seated on my bed. I close my eyes. It's just the cops. There's no sound though. Nothing to be afraid of. The figures were right at the window. I could see 2 or 3 tiny sets of yellow eyes peering in at me. Just the cops. Cops only take bad people. But I'm inside. They can't get me, right? Didn't Pops say that as long as I was inside, I would be safe? They want me to come with them. They want to show me the lights. I closed my eyes then. I figured as long as I didn't lose myself to their trance, they wouldn't be able to get at me. Kind of like vampires basically. This was fine, until I realised that the lights alone wasn't their only method of goading me to the window. Turns out, I was wrong. They do make a noise. Not only that, but a familiar noise. That's right. It was the familiar sound of the police sirens I'd always heard. I struggled then to keep my eyes closed. I didn't know what I could do. That's the cops' sound. But I haven't done anything. It's just the cops. But why would they be here? Suddenly, I started hearing a tapping on my window, followed by tiny voices screeching. I strained to hold my eyes shut. That doesn't sound like cops. But then, what do cops sound like? Hey there, kid, one of the voices called out from the window. Tiny as it was, I noticed how deep the pitch of the voice was, sounding more like a lumberjack. My eyelids fluttered. I couldn't keep them shut much longer. Hey, it's okay. Do you like the lights? What? I thought. My eyes were almost completely open now. That's right. Look at the lights. Pretty, aren't they? Who are you? Faint flashes of red and blue were bleeding back into my eyes again. The siren noise bled into the background as a weird droning sort of ambience. We're just little people with the pretty lights, another voice said. This one, though still deep and adult sounding, was a bit smoother. A woman's voice. My eyes opened further, still trying to resist, but not really able to anymore. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of. But they aren't cops. We just want to show you the lights, said the first again. The lights are so pretty. They take little boys away and they never get to see their mamas or pops again. But the lights... Come on, it'll be quick. Never see pops again. Come see the lights. Her voice echoed through my room. Through me. I could hear her. No. I could feel her reverberating through my entire body the way sound would underwater. The same was true for the lights themselves. They really are pretty, aren't they? I remember seeing my arm reaching out to the window for the lights. It was completely involuntary, subconscious. Same as it was for me to shut my eyes just a second ago when I first saw them. I was wide-eyed by now, hypnotized to the window. I was aware of this, but... God, they're so pretty. Never see pops again. But they're so pretty. I want to see them up close. Nothing to be afraid of. Start walking off towards the lights. I snapped to realise I was on my feet now. standing only 2 or 3 feet from the window. The tiny yellow dots in the window widened, pressing themselves closer to the glass. Doing this, their faces were further exposed by the light. Most of their overall features were still obscured by shadow, but I was able to make out the bluish teal sort of complexion of their skin. Panic caused my body to lock up instantly. Every muscle contracted at once. My mouth opened, but I couldn't scream. "Come on," the first one urged impatiently. "We're your friends, we promise," said the woman's voice. My body itched to run out of the room, but my mind couldn't be forced away from the window, from the lights, the pretty lights. I was terrified, and I knew nothing good was coming from these things, but I just couldn't. Nothing to be afraid of. My arm reached further out. I didn't want it to, but I couldn't make it stop either. The figures inched closer, pressing almost completely against the glass. Maybe it'll be okay. I'll see the lights. Never see Pop again. Pretty lights. They take every little boy they see. So pretty. Never see Pop again. I love you, son, more than anything in the world. I stopped again, this time turning away and screaming. That was all it took, for it wasn't even 7 seconds later that I heard elephantine footsteps come barreling down the hallway into my room. "Robbie!" The door to my room flew open at the exact time the window shattered, and I heard a shrill screeching sound. The next thing I knew, my arm felt like it was being slammed into a bed of broken glass, causing me to cry out in pain. I screamed even louder when I opened my eyes to see a small little goblin-looking creature with his jaws clamped tight around my forearm. Blood immediately started gushing around the creature's jaws, splashing all over its face and mine. I felt another one spearhead me straight in the middle of my chest, knocking me over. Another one then did the same, cannonballing right in the middle of my sternum, knocking the wind out of me. More of them then started dogpiling onto me, swarming me, picking and biting at me from every direction. I couldn't move, barely even to writhe in agony. I screamed out to Pop. I could barely see him, shaking while aiming his shotgun. He couldn't shoot though, not without hitting me. Despite this though, I heard him scream, "Get away from my boy!" before rushing over and batting them off of me with the butt of the gun. Swing after swing sent 3 or 4 of them flying off of me. That's when he started firing at the ones he batted away. I saw 2 of them lose their heads in one shot, but the thing was, this didn't kill them. Their bodies continued to charge forward while their heads crumpled to dust. Dad kept firing, but it didn't even slow them down. At one point I heard the shotgun click. The ones that were still on me continued to shred me to bits while the others then rushed Pop. Pop tried batting them back again, but there were too many of them. One that managed to fix itself to the back of his leg promptly clamped its jaws around his calf. Dad shrieked before collapsing to one knee. From there, it was all over for him. At once, they swarmed him like they had with me, and started tearing large chunks out of him. He thrashed around wilder than a pissed off bull, but it made no difference. They were each fastened to him. At one point, the others that were on me decided they weren't interested in me anymore and decided to migrate over to Pop with the rest. In as much pain as I was, not to mention how much blood I'd lost, I was not only surprised to still be conscious, but able to move as well. It was strenuous, but adrenaline allowed me to find my feet again, and I stumbled over to Pop, trying to kick as many of them off as possible. This had no effect, and soon one or two of them fixed themselves to my foot. Before they could bite down, I managed to shake them off of me. Pop cried out, "Son, get out of here! Run, now!" I froze for a split second. Almost his entire front of his body looked like raw meat. Large patches of pink bloody muscle tissue and tendons were exposed, and blood was pooling all around him. I wanted to help him, but what could I do? If I didn't run like he said, we'd both be lunch meat for these monsters. But I didn't want to just leave him. I wouldn't get much of a choice in that matter in the end, as one of them attempted to launch themselves from Pop's body to spearhead me again. I skirted out of the way just in time and took off down the hallway into the living room. I heard sets of tiny, deep-throated shrieks from behind me giving chase. I swiped the telephone from the base before bolting the rest of the way to the bathroom, where I locked the door and braced myself against it before frantically dialing 911. While the call was connecting, I could feel the door being rocked against from the other side. Blow after blow made the door push out further and further against my back. God, please pick up. My mind buzzed with worries of what the hell I was going to say when and if it did connect. Help! A bunch of killer elves broke into my house and are tearing my father apart. Another part of me then wondered what it would matter even if they did believe me. What would they be able to do? They can't be killed. Not by guns at least. Of course, all of this was overridden by the fact that it was the only thing that stood a chance of saving Pop.
911 operator, what is your emergency?
You gotta send help quick! My Pop, he's...
Calm down. What is your name and address?
I was about to try answering when a sharp blow from the other side of the door startled me. I saw the wood splinter. They were gonna be through any second now, and then I would be done for.
Hello? Are you still there? Are you hurt?
I'm at 1287 East Water Street. I'm in the bathroom. My Pop is dying. I cried out in pain when another blow against the door caused the wood to jut out, stabbing me straight in the back.
Alright, son. Stay with me. A unit is on its way now. I want you to stay on the line with me until they...
Another jab in the back caused me to hurl the phone to the wall in front of me. 3 more caused the spiderweb of cracks to spread, sending more and more bits of wood flying. I pressed my full body against it. It was useless, I knew, but at that point it was all I had left, my last resort. Crack, 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 crack. I was pushed harder and harder from the door. I closed my eyes. Please hurry, I begged. Suddenly, everything was still. My body was tense, expecting more of the assault. But there was nothing. Everything was silent and still. My eyes opened. My arms relaxed, though my heart was still in a frenzy. I stood still, having no clue as to how to or if I even could move. What if they were still out there? Maybe just waiting me out like they were at the window. I peered down at the crack at the bottom of the bathroom door. There were no shadows from the other side. After about another minute, I decided to chance it and cracked the door open. The hallway was empty, dark, silent. "Pop!" I weakly called out. "Pop!" Nothing. I stepped carefully out of the bathroom and into the hall. My eyes darted around rapidly in each direction as I went along, my heart prone to start racing again. Nothing came out at me though. I made it to my room where Pop lay sprawled out on the floor, lifeless and completely shredded. "Pop!" I cried, dropping down and cradling his head. I gently started shaking him. "Pop, come on, wake up!" He just stared back up at me with dull, glazed eyes. It didn't even register at first to me that his skin was ice cold by that point. "No, Pop!" My head dropped onto his chest, sobbing. "Pop, no! No, please, Pop, not you! Not you!" I felt like I did when I was 8 years old again. Little chicken shit Robbie. That was me all over again, except now I don't even have my Pop to protect me. I looked over to his shotgun laying discarded at the right of him. "I got you, Robbie, I got you. I ain't gonna let the Blue Elves get you." The dam broke then. Oh God, no. "Pop, Pop, please, no, I need you." At one point, I started up again in a panic at the sight of flashing blue and red lights coming from the window again. These were accompanied by the sirens. This time though, I noticed that the other voices were definitely from normal people, not the strange cerebral mimicry from the elves. It was really them this time. It was the police. Just the police. There was nothing to be afraid of anymore. The Blue Elves were gone now. Where to? I never knew, but couldn't really care either. They'd still taken everything from me, but my life. I was taken from the house that night, rushed immediately to the hospital, along with Pop's body. I spent the next 3 weeks there, where I didn't get a bit of sleep, and had serious close calls with, well, you know. In the end, I was put in with a counsellor and released from the hospital, where I was then plugged into a group home. During that time, I was obviously questioned as to what had happened, who'd broke into the house, to which I gave the only answer I figured was believable. A coyote had gotten in through my window and almost tore me apart when Pop stepped in. Like I said, not entirely uncommon for this area. Things changed after that for me. Instead of being the cheerful yet frightened little boy I was, I became a lot more carefree, as well as a lot more bitter with everything. A lot more dead in my concern. Not much really mattered to me anymore. I wasn't really afraid of anything anymore, including the Blue Elves. For that reason alone, I never took after my father's habit of trying to search about them. I knew everything I needed to. In fact, if I'm honest, I really always knew everything I needed to about them. They were exactly as Pop described all those years ago. Little critters that love to see little boys cry and take 'em away. I was a little boy that night, Christmas Eve in fact, a happy little boy until they took that away with my father. But no more. I write this to say that I am not afraid of them. That's my victory. That said, I do believe in them, and I have one last question for you all. Have any of you ever heard of the Blue Elves? And I hope you enjoy the Blooper Reel. Each one of the printed ones, for the most part, they were all just and twice as soul rendering. I want to go in it. I was about to close the blinder. Fuck's sake. I was about to close the binder when motherfucker. That was all it took, for it wasn't even That was all it took, for it wasn't even 7 seconds later that I heard elephant. The room to my. I screamed even louder when I opened my eyes to see a tiny. God, please help. I stood still, having no clue as to how to, or if I could even. That said, I do believe in them, and I have one. Hey family, please be so kind as to throat punch the like button and smack the arse of the subscription button as well. And remember to chokehold that notification bell and then select all. That way you'll receive all notifications each time I upload a new video. And by subscribing, you'll be the first to see all of our new spooky creepypasta stories. A very big thank you to Corpse Child for allowing me to narrate this awesome series. Make sure to check out their Reddit profile for more brilliant stories. And be sure to take a look at the playlist here for more of their stories that I may have already narrated. I would just like to say a very big thank you to all of the authors that I have worked with and all the ones that I will work with in the future. So thank you all, my brothers and sisters. And why not hashtag Cryptids Roost in your comments. A quick thank you to all of my Cryptids Roost community family too. We are now well on our journey to 1,000 subscribers. So please spread the word and help us to grow and expand. And don't forget to share the videos too. If you would like to throw me $1 or $3, I'd be very much appreciative. I do have PayPal, paypal.me/cryptidsroost. Alternatively, I have an account at buymeacoffee.com. You don't even need to register on either site to donate. You can also follow us at my Facebook group, Twitter and Instagram. I also have Ko-Fi, BitChute and Rumble. I have a subreddit if you have a story you've written that you would like me to narrate for you. All relevant links will be below. And don't forget to check out the end screen. See above. That will also list some more videos in my back catalogue. And I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas, and I wish you all the best for the new year. Take care everyone, and I hope you all have a wonderful and peaceful night. And don't forget, where fear is, happiness is not.